Good evening, everyone. Today, I want to talk about something unassuming yet transformative. A force that can turn potential into reality, chaos into clarity, and dreams into achievements. That force is consistency. The first thing you need to know is that consistency is not the same as chaos. For the first thing that you can do is restrict it. Let me start with a simple truth. Greatness isn't born in a moment. It's not the result of one grand act. Instead, it's built brick by brick, day by day, through small, deliberate actions repeated over time. Think about it. We often celebrate the breakthroughs, the championship win, the viral success, the innovative product. But those moments, as incredible as they are simply the peaks of mountains built on the foundation of countless, consistent efforts. Consistency is the quiet, steady hum behind every masterpiece, every triumph, every legacy. Greatness is built on consistent, small actions, not grand moments. It's a fundamental truth that often goes overlooked in a world that celebrates breakthroughs, instant results, and the spectacular. But the reality is that the moments of triumph we see are merely the tip of the iceberg. The bulk of the work, the quiet labor lies beneath the surface, unnoticed by most. It's the culmination of daily, incremental efforts, decisions made repeatedly, and actions taken without applause. When we think of success stories, it's tempting to focus on the defining moments, the climactic win, the big breakthrough, the arrival at the top. But the truth is, those moments are rarely, if ever, isolated events. They are the result of countless smaller actions done consistently over time. It's not the grand sweeping gestures that make the biggest impact. It's the steady, deliberate actions, repeated with purpose and focus, that create greatness. Small actions may seem insignificant in the moment. They're easy to overlook, easy to dismiss as unimportant. After all, one workout doesn't make you fit, just as skipping one doesn't make you unfit. One healthy meal won't revolutionize your health, just as one poor choice won't ruin it. The results of these small actions are cumulative, and it's only over time, through repetition and persistence, that the impact becomes visible. This is the paradox of small, consistent actions. They seem inconsequential at first, but over time, they build into something extraordinary. Imagine a single drop of water falling onto a rock. That drop alone does nothing. It doesn't leave a mark. But what happens when millions of drops fall on that rock, day after day? Over time, the water carves into the rock, shaping it, changing it. The water didn't force itself upon the rock in one moment of intensity. It succeeded through consistency, through steady, repeated action. This is how progress works in every aspect of life. In relationships, careers, personal development, health, and beyond, it's the small, consistent actions that matter most. The phone call to a loved one, the extra 5 minutes spent refining a task, the conscious decision to read one page of a book every day. All of these small acts compound over time to create meaningful change. Here's the challenge. Small, consistent actions require patience, discipline, and faith. The results are rarely immediate, and in a world that thrives on instant gratification, this can be hard to accept. We live in a time where everything is faster, where we expect results now. But greatness, true greatness, doesn't conform to this timeline. It requires persistence through periods of invisibility, through times when progress is happening beneath the surface, out of view. There's a reason why most people struggle with this. Consistency lacks the allure of dramatic transformation. It's not something you can post on social media and immediately garner praise for. It's quiet and often lonely. But this quiet persistence is what sets apart those who achieve lasting greatness from those who only experience fleeting success. Take the example of athletes. The moments we see on the field or court, the game-winning goal, the record-breaking performance, are spectacular, no doubt. But what we don't see are the years of early mornings, rigorous training sessions, and countless hours spent honing their skills. Every sprint, every lift, every practice shot, no matter how small, builds toward that final moment. And yet, none of those grand moments would be possible without the small actions that preceded them. The same principle applies to every area of life. In relationships, trust is not built by a single grand gesture. It's built over time through consistent actions, keeping promises, being present, showing care, and communicating openly. In careers, success doesn't come from one standout performance, but from the accumulation of showing up, working diligently, and delivering results day after day. So, there's also a deeper psychological aspect to small, consistent actions. They create momentum. When you commit to something, even on a small scale, and follow through consistently, it builds a sense of accomplishment and confidence. This momentum fuels further action, creating a positive cycle. Small wins lead to bigger wins, and before you know it, you've achieved something substantial. The beauty of this approach lies in its accessibility. You don't need to be extraordinary to start, you just need to start. Anyone can commit to small actions, whether it's dedicating 5 minutes a day to learning a new skill, walking a little further, or practicing gratitude each morning. These small choices, repeated over time, can lead to transformational change, regardless of where you start. By focusing on what you can do consistently, you also free yourself from the pressure of perfection. It's not about getting everything right every time. It's about showing up, doing the work, and making progress. Small steps add up, even when they feel inconsequential in the moment. Consistency builds trust through reliability and repeated effort. Trust is one of the most valuable currencies in human relationships, whether personal, professional, or societal. It is the foundation of every meaningful connection, the bedrock of successful teams, and the glue that holds partnerships together. Trust doesn't arise by chance. It's cultivated through intentional actions over time. Consistency is a trust-building foundation for life. Reliability is at the heart of trust. When someone says they will do something and follows through, it reinforces the belief that they can be depended upon. This might seem obvious, but its significance cannot be overstated. The simplest way to demonstrate reliability is to do what you say you will do, over and over again. It's not enough to deliver occasionally or when it's convenient. True reliability comes from consistency. Imagine a coworker who shows up for a project. If they deliver exceptional results once but fail to contribute meaningfully the next 3 times, trust in their reliability starts to diminish. Contrast this with another colleague who consistently delivers solid work, not necessarily extraordinary, but dependable on every project. Over time, the latter becomes the person people turn to, the one everyone knows they can count on. Inevitably, they're the one people tend to when need is highest, and they're the person people turn to when need is lowest. Trust doesn't hinge on brilliance or perfection. It depends on consistency in actions. Trust also builds through small, repeated efforts in everyday interactions. It's saying good morning, offering a helping hand, or listening intently when someone speaks. These moments might seem insignificant, but each one is a building block of trust. Cumulatively, they create a sense of security and reliability that is far more profound than a single grand gesture. Grand gestures may leave a temporary impression, but consistency creates lasting confidence. Think about relationships outside of work, friendships, romantic relationships, or family bonds. Consistency is what strengthens those connections. Imagine a friend who calls you every week to check in, regardless of how busy they are. Over time, this simple act of regularly being present builds trust, showing that they genuinely care. Alternatively, think of someone who appears only occasionally, no matter how spectacular their presence may be when they do. It's the steady, regular connection that creates a sense of reliability and deepens the relationship. Repeated effort also shows commitment. Consistency in actions communicates that a person values the relationship or task enough to invest in it over and over again. When someone demonstrates that they're willing to put in the work consistently, it signals a sense of responsibility and dependability. People trust those who show up, especially when it's not always easy or convenient to do so. Now, this principle applies beyond interpersonal relationships. It's crucial for brands, organizations, and leaders as well. Consumers trust brands that consistently deliver quality, communicate clearly, and live up to their promises. It's why companies spend so much effort in creating consistency, from their messaging to their product or service quality. When a brand consistently provides value and meets expectations, it builds loyalty. The same holds for leaders. A leader who is consistent in their vision, decisions, and actions fosters trust among their team. Consistency eliminates uncertainty and provides people with something they can rely on. Inconsistency, on the other hand, erodes trust. Imagine a situation where someone promises one thing but does another. Even if this happens occasionally, it plants a seed of doubt. People start to question if the person will follow through the next time or whether their words hold any weight. This uncertainty can ripple through relationships, leading to skepticism and hesitation, weakening the connection. Trust, once broken, is difficult to rebuild, and inconsistency is often at the root of that breakdown. While it's human to falter at times, repeated inconsistencies erode credibility. When people feel they cannot depend on someone, the bond between them weakens. Rebuilding that trust requires effort, but it always starts with a return to consistent, reliable behavior. The most striking aspect of building trust through consistency is that it doesn't rely on extraordinary abilities. It's not about being the smartest, the fastest, or the most charismatic. It's about being someone who others can count on. That is something within everyone's reach. Consistency doesn't require talent. It requires intention and effort. It requires the extraordinary disposition to be effortless and insincere in life and death. By consistently delivering on promises, big or small, and consistently being present in meaningful ways, anyone can foster trust in their relationships. Moreover, consistency creates predictability. This might sound unexciting at first, but predictability is deeply reassuring. Knowing how someone is likely to behave or respond brings clarity and reduces uncertainty. Whether in relationships, teams, or leadership, people are naturally drawn to those who offer stability. Predictability in actions and decisions fosters a sense of safety, which is a cornerstone of trust. The beauty of trust built through consistency is that it's not tied to one moment or event. It grows over time, reinforced by every instance where reliability is demonstrated. Every time a promise is kept, every time someone shows up when they're expected to, every time effort is applied where it matters, it adds to the reservoir of trust. It's a gradual process, but one that creates profound, lasting relationships based on a strong, unshakable foundation. Motivation is fleeting. Consistency thrives on discipline and showing up. There is an undeniable appeal to the surge of energy and excitement that motivation can bring. It's the spark that ignites new goals, projects, and aspirations. When inspiration strikes, everything feels possible, and you're ready to conquer challenges. However, as powerful as motivation might seem in the moment, it is not a reliable driver of lasting success. So, motivation is inherently temporary. It ebbs and flows, influenced by emotions, circumstances, and external triggers. Think about it. How many times have you felt fired up to start a new habit or embark on a project, only to lose that initial enthusiasm a few days or weeks later? This isn't a failing, it's simply human nature. Motivation is reactive. It often arises in response to something we hear, see, or experience, but it's not sustainable without a structure to support it. The key to success lies in understanding this limitation and shifting your focus from relying on motivation to cultivating discipline. Number 2, discipline is the steady force that keeps you moving forward when motivation fades. Unlike motivation, discipline doesn't rely on your emotional state or the excitement of the moment. It's about creating a commitment to show up regardless of how you feel. Discipline is what allows you to continue taking action on the days when you're tired, uninspired, or tempted to give up. It is the anchor that grounds your efforts in consistency, turning fleeting bursts of energy into sustained progress. Consistency is built on the foundation of discipline. When you commit to showing up every day, even in small ways, you train yourself to prioritize action over feelings. You begin to understand that results come not from how much you want something in a given moment, but from how often you work toward it over time. This shift in mindset is transformative. It reframes the work you do as a process rather than an event. Instead of waiting for the perfect moment to act, you act because that's what you've committed to, regardless of perfection. And the way that he did that was with 2 words, today, the action, the commitment. And so there's a reason for this. Imagine an athlete training for a marathon. In the beginning, they might feel a rush of excitement about the challenge ahead, but soon the reality of early mornings, long runs, and sore muscles sets in. If their training relied solely on feeling motivated, they wouldn't last. Instead, successful athletes lean on discipline. They follow their training plan consistently, even on days when motivation is nowhere to be found. Each small step taken repeatedly builds endurance, strength, and readiness for race day. Discipline also works by creating habits. Habits are the building blocks of consistency because they remove the need for constant decision making. When something becomes a habit, it transitions from being a conscious effort to an automatic part of your routine. Think about brushing your teeth. It doesn't require motivation because it's ingrained in your daily life. By applying the same approach to your goals, you make consistent progress without the mental friction of deciding whether or not to act. This doesn't mean discipline is easy. It requires intention, planning, and resilience. It's challenging to stick to your commitments when the initial excitement has faded and obstacles arise. However, discipline grows stronger with practice. The more you show up despite resistance, the easier it becomes to keep showing up. Each small act of discipline reinforces the habit, creating a cycle of positive momentum that makes future efforts feel more natural. But one of the most important aspects of discipline and consistency is removing the reliance on external conditions to dictate your actions. Life is full of variables that can affect your mood, energy, and circumstances. If you only take action when everything aligns perfectly, you limit your progress. Discipline allows you to act independently of external factors, focusing instead on what you can control, your effort, your time, and your willingness to show up. There's also a mental freedom that comes with prioritizing discipline over motivation. When you base your actions on discipline, you no longer have to engage in an internal debate about whether or not to act. You take the decision out of your hands because you've already made it in advance. This clarity reduces procrastination and doubt, allowing you to channel your energy into the work itself rather than wasting it on deliberation. Another critical element of discipline is flexibility within the framework of consistency. Showing up every day doesn't mean doing the same thing at the same intensity. It means adapting your actions to your current circumstances while maintaining forward momentum. Some days, showing up might look like a small step. Other days, it might be a giant leap. Both are equally valuable because they align with a commitment to consistency. Over time, discipline builds resilience and a deeper understanding of your capabilities. It teaches you that you can do hard things, even when you don't feel like it. It reveals the strength that comes from persistence, and it instills confidence in your ability to keep going. This internal growth is just as important as the external results it produces. Discipline transforms you from someone who is reactive to their emotions and environment into someone who is proactive and empowered. Consistency through discipline isn't glamorous. It's not about dramatic transformations or overnight success. It's about the quiet, deliberate choice to keep going, one step at a time, even when the journey feels long or uncertain. Each action, no matter how small, builds on the last, creating a compounding effect that leads to remarkable outcomes over time. Progress isn't about perfection. It's about persistence and resilience. Perfection is often seen as the ultimate goal. It's a concept many strive for, believing that if they achieve perfection, success will follow. But perfection is not only unattainable, it's also a trap that can paralyze progress and stifle growth. The pursuit of perfection often leads to fear of failure, self-doubt, and inaction. Real progress isn't found in flawless execution. It's rooted in persistence and the resilience to keep going, even when things don't go as planned. Persistence is the steady effort that keeps you moving forward. It's not about sprinting toward the finish line, but about taking one step after another, even when the path is difficult. Persistence acknowledges that progress is rarely linear. There will be moments when you feel stuck, when the results are slower than expected, or when setbacks threaten to derail your efforts. But persistence says, keep going. It's not glamorous or exciting. It's often quiet and unremarkable. Yet this steady, continued effort is what creates lasting change and meaningful achievement. Resilience, on the other hand, is what allows you to bounce back when things go wrong. It's the ability to recover from setbacks, adapt to challenges, and find strength in adversity. Resilience doesn't mean you won't feel frustration, disappointment, or doubt. It means you don't let those feelings stop you. You learn to navigate obstacles, adjust your approach, and keep moving toward your goals. Resilience transforms failure from an endpoint into a stepping stone, allowing you to extract lessons and grow stronger with each experience. When you combine persistence and resilience, you create a powerful framework for progress. Together, they help you stay focused on the journey rather than fixating on perfection. The pursuit of progress accepts that mistakes will happen, that missteps are part of learning, and that the process is often messy and unpredictable. This mindset allows you to focus on what truly matters: steady, meaningful improvement over time. Consider the example of learning a new skill. Whether it's playing an instrument, speaking a new language, or developing a professional capability, progress doesn't happen in leaps and bounds. It happens through consistent practice, making errors, and refining your approach. Imagine someone attempting to play the piano perfectly from the start. They would quickly become frustrated by the inevitable mistakes and might give up altogether. But someone who focuses on showing up for daily practice, accepting mistakes as part of the process, will steadily improve. Over time, the small increments of progress compound, and their skill grows. The same principle applies to personal growth and self-improvement. Whether you're working on building confidence, improving relationships, or developing healthier habits, there's no such thing as a perfect path. Growth is about confronting challenges, embracing discomfort, and staying committed to your intentions. It's not about avoiding failure, but about using it as an opportunity to learn and recalibrate. Society often reinforces the idea of perfection, celebrating the polished outcomes without showing the messy, behind-the-scenes work it took to get there. This creates unrealistic expectations and pressure to perform flawlessly. It's important to recognize that every success story is built on a foundation of persistence and resilience. Behind every achievement are countless moments of uncertainty, hard work, and recovery from setbacks. Even in professional settings, the most effective leaders and teams understand that progress doesn't hinge on perfection. Instead, it's fueled by adaptability and a willingness to experiment, fail, and try again. The best leaders encourage their teams to take risks, make mistakes, and learn from them. They understand that perfectionism stifles creativity and innovation, while persistence and resilience foster a culture of growth and continuous improvement. Perfection often demands all-or-nothing thinking, leading people to abandon efforts when they fall short of unrealistic expectations. Persistence, however, values consistency over time, even when the results are slow or uneven. It encourages you to show up even on the days when you don't feel like it, and to celebrate small wins along the way. These small wins become the building blocks of larger accomplishments. Resilience is equally crucial when facing criticism or setbacks. It's natural to feel discouraged when progress stalls or when others point out your flaws. But resilience helps you reframe these experiences. Criticism becomes feedback, and setbacks become opportunities to grow. Resilience shifts the focus from external validation to internal growth, reminding you that the process itself is where real value lies. Persistence and resilience also strengthen your mental and emotional capacity over time. The more you persevere through challenges, the more confidence you gain in your ability to handle difficulties. This confidence creates a positive cycle. As you overcome one obstacle, you're better equipped to face the next. Over time, what once felt impossible becomes manageable, and the fear of failure diminishes. It's worth noting that progress isn't about working tirelessly without rest or reflection. Persistence and resilience include knowing when to pause, reassess, and recharge. They allow for flexibility and acknowledge that progress doesn't mean pushing through at all costs. Sometimes stepping back or changing course is a vital part of moving forward. The key is to maintain a commitment to the overall journey, even if the path looks different than expected. Through persistence and resilience, progress becomes an ongoing journey rather than a destination. Each step, no matter how small or imperfect, contributes to the greater picture. This approach not only creates meaningful outcomes, but also fosters personal growth, teaching you to value the process over the outcome. The goal is not to achieve perfection, but to embrace the journey of continual improvement and learning. 3. Small steps taken consistently lead to transformative results. When setting ambitious goals or dreaming of significant changes, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by the enormity of the task ahead. The magnitude of what you want to achieve can paralyze you, making the path forward seem impossible. This is where the power of small, consistent steps reveals its true value. Instead of being consumed by the size of the goal, focusing on taking one small step at a time breaks the journey into manageable pieces, making progress not only possible, but sustainable. Small steps are deceptively simple. Because they seem insignificant in isolation, they are often overlooked or undervalued. Yet these small actions are the building blocks of big change. A single step forward may not feel like much, but when repeated consistently over time, it creates momentum. This momentum compounds. amplifying the results far beyond what you might have imagined when you began. And in time, that growth can compound, and growth more and more and more and more. Consider the example of improving physical fitness. Starting with a lofty goal, such as running a marathon or lifting a certain weight, can be intimidating. But beginning with a small, consistent habit, like walking 10 minutes a day or doing a handful of bodyweight exercises, feels attainable. Those 10 minutes might not seem transformative at first, but as they become a daily ritual, they lead to increased stamina, strength, and confidence. Before long, those short sessions evolve into longer, more intense efforts, and the once intimidating goal starts to feel within reach. The same principle applies to mastering a new skill. Learning to play a musical instrument, for instance, can seem daunting. The idea of performing a complex piece of music feels like a distant dream. But dedicating just 10 minutes each day to practice builds familiarity with the instrument and reinforces the discipline of showing up. With time, those incremental efforts accumulate, and what once felt impossible becomes second nature. Small steps also reduce resistance. When faced with a monumental goal, it's natural to procrastinate or make excuses. The brain tends to view big tasks as threatening or overwhelming, creating mental roadblocks that make it hard to begin. However, committing to a small step, one that feels almost effortless, lowers the barrier to entry. The action becomes manageable, and once you start, it's easier to continue. Breaking down goals into small, consistent actions also fosters a sense of accomplishment. Every small step taken is a victory, reinforcing your belief in your ability to make progress. These small wins build confidence, and that confidence propels you forward. It's a positive feedback loop. The more progress you make, the more motivated you feel to keep going. Consistency in taking small steps is critical because it builds habits. A habit is an automated behavior that requires little conscious effort. By anchoring your goals to daily routines, you create a system that supports consistent action. For example, if you want to write a book, committing to writing a single page or even a few sentences each day ensures steady progress. Over time, those small increments add up, and the once intangible goal becomes a completed manuscript. Transformative results come not from bursts of effort, but from sustained, gradual progress. People often overestimate what they can achieve in the short term and underestimate what they can achieve in the long term. By focusing on small steps and repeating them consistently, you align your efforts with the long-term view. This approach is more sustainable, allowing you to maintain progress without burning out or feeling discouraged. One of the remarkable aspects of small, consistent steps is their ability to spark unforeseen opportunities and benefits. As you work steadily toward a goal, new insights, skills, and connections often emerge. These are things you couldn't have predicted at the outset, yet they enrich the process and often accelerate progress in unexpected ways. Each step creates momentum that opens doors you didn't know were there. Small steps also provide the flexibility to adjust your course. Because you're not tied to a massive, rigid plan, you can adapt as needed. This is especially important when pursuing ambitious goals that require experimentation and learning along the way. By taking small steps, you gain the freedom to explore what works, pivot when necessary, and refine your approach without feeling like you're abandoning your efforts. These small, consistent actions also remind you that progress isn't always visible immediately. Often the results of your efforts remain hidden beneath the surface for a time. This can be frustrating if you're looking for quick wins, but trust in the process is essential. Just as seeds planted in a garden take time to grow, the impact of your consistent efforts may not appear instantly. But with patience and persistence, those seeds sprout and flourish, producing results far greater than you might have imagined. Transformative results are not the result of luck, talent, or sporadic bursts of energy. They're born from the quiet, deliberate effort of showing up each day and doing the work. Each step, no matter how small, contributes to a larger narrative of growth and achievement. Whether it's personal development, professional goals, or changes in your community, the principle remains the same. Small, consistent steps pave the way to extraordinary outcomes. By focusing on what you can do today, whether it's a single action, a minor adjustment, or a brief moment of effort, you create the conditions for change. Small steps accumulate over time, transforming challenges into achievements and turning dreams into realities. True change requires showing up, even when it's inconvenient or uncomfortable. The idea of change often comes with excitement and hope for the future. We envision the end result, picturing how life will be better, how we'll feel accomplished, or how our efforts will be worth it. But the reality of change is not as glamorous as the vision we hold. It's not the flashes of inspiration or the bursts of motivation that drive transformation. It's the unglamorous, consistent effort of showing up even when it's hard or when we'd rather not. There's a certain discomfort that comes with doing the work required to create change. It could be physical, like the soreness after starting a new fitness routine, or emotional, like facing the fear of failure or rejection. Discomfort can also be logistical, such as making time for your goals when your schedule is already packed. These challenges test your commitment to change. They demand more than just excitement or desire, they demand action, particularly when it's inconvenient or when you don't feel ready. Change doesn't wait for the perfect moment, and neither can you. If you wait for the stars to align or for circumstances to be ideal, you'll find yourself perpetually stuck in a cycle of waiting. There will always be a reason to postpone, a busy schedule, competing priorities, or simply not feeling in the mood. These excuses feel valid in the moment, but they stand in the way of progress. The truth is, the perfect moment rarely arrives. To create change, you have to move forward despite the imperfections of the moment. Showing up when it's inconvenient or uncomfortable is not about willpower alone. It's about making a choice. You choose to prioritize action over excuses, progress over comfort, and persistence over procrastination. It's a decision you make again and again each time discomfort arises. With every choice to show up, you reinforce the habit of commitment. You send a message to yourself that your goals and aspirations are worth the effort, even when the effort is hard. And there's power in proving to yourself that you can push through the hard moments. Each time you show up when you'd rather not, you strengthen your discipline and resilience. You develop a sense of pride in your ability to keep going, which fuels your confidence to face even greater challenges. These moments of inconvenience or discomfort are not obstacles. They're opportunities to grow stronger. They build the internal fortitude that allows you to sustain change over the long term. It's important to recognize that discomfort is not the enemy. Discomfort is a signal that you're stepping out of your comfort zone. And that's exactly where change happens. Staying comfortable might feel safe, but it's also stagnant. True growth requires stretching beyond what feels easy or familiar. Discomfort is the price you pay for transformation, and the rewards far outweigh the cost. This isn't to say that showing up is easy. It often requires sacrifices. You might have to give up leisure time to work on a project, wake up early to fit in a workout, or say no to things that distract from your priorities. These sacrifices can feel significant in the moment, but they're investments in a future version of yourself. Every time you choose the harder path, you're reinforcing your commitment to your goals and proving to yourself that you're capable of doing hard things. Change also requires consistency. It's not enough to show up once or twice when it's convenient. The real progress happens when you make showing up a regular practice, regardless of the circumstances. Each small, consistent action compounds over time, creating momentum that carries you forward. Even when the progress feels slow or the results aren't immediately visible, the act of showing up is building something meaningful. Change isn't about dramatic transformations overnight. It's about steady, intentional effort over time. The moments when it's most inconvenient or uncomfortable are often the moments that matter most. They're the turning points that separate those who stay the course from those who give up. When you show up despite the challenges, you prove to yourself and others that your commitment is real. You demonstrate that your goals are more than fleeting desires. They're priorities you're willing to work for. Your customizable thinking is the difference between the kind of desire that you have for the kind of decisions you have to deeply move toward your goal. It's also important to give yourself grace in the process. Showing up doesn't mean doing everything perfectly or pushing yourself to exhaustion. It means doing what you can with what you have, even if it's not ideal. Some days, showing up might mean making a small effort when you're feeling drained. Other days, it might mean going all in. Both are valuable because both move you forward. By showing up consistently, you create a sense of momentum that propels you toward your goals. You build habits that make the process feel more natural over time. What once felt inconvenient becomes a part of your routine, What once felt uncomfortable becomes manageable, even familiar. This transformation is a testament to the power of persistence and the willingness to face challenges head on. The act of showing up is a declaration of your intentions. It's a statement that you're not willing to settle for the status quo or wait passively for change to happen. You take responsibility for your journey, knowing that every effort matters, no matter how small or how challenging it may feel in the moment. The work you put in today, even when it's hard, lays the foundation for the change you'll see tomorrow. Each step, each effort, each time you push through discomfort or inconvenience, you're proving to yourself that transformation is within reach. So let me ask you, what is the one thing you can commit to today? Not tomorrow, not next week, today. It doesn't have to be big. Small actions done consistently compound into something powerful. Because in the end, the secret isn't in doing extraordinary things. It's in doing ordinary things extraordinarily well and doing them consistently. And so often the power of consistency is the power to build trust, mastery, and a life of purpose. It's the key to unlocking your potential. So let's not wait for the perfect moment or the perfect plan. Start today, show up, and then do it again tomorrow. Because greatness isn't built in a moment, it's built every single day.